Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. It's 1 o'clock and we are ready to get started. Today, we're going to be talking with Vito. Vito is from Seven Mountains Creative, and he's going to be talking to us today about Google Ads. So we're thrilled that he's here. Thank you so much for being here, Vito. Before I get into your introduction, I am going to just talk a little bit about who we are if you're new to our series and what we do. So this is our Google web series, Google Tools web series. It's brought to you by partners of the Hazleton Innovation Collaborative, or Think as we call it. CanB is one of those partners, and we are proud to be here with Vito today talking about Google Ads. Additional to us in our partnership is the Greater Hazleton Chamber of Commerce, Penn State Hazleton, the Hazleton Launch Box, the Wilkes University Small Business Development Center, the Downtown Hazleton Alliance for Progress, and a bunch of other partners. So we're very happy to be here talking to Vito about Google Ads. We hope you have some good questions and some good content today, and we're looking forward to moving forward. How about that? Can you tell that it's been a long day for me? So let me just, without further ado, turn it over to Vito, who probably is not as tongue-tied as I am today. Quick introduction here. Google certified for the first time in 2006. Vito Covino has been involved with search engines over the last 15 years. From attending exclusive partner trainings with Google headquarters in New York City to hosting hundreds of SMBs as a director of digital sales and operations for WBRE and WYOU, he has been on all sides of the digital world. Now, as Seven Mountains Media Regional Digital Strategist, he works with multiple markets, strategizing and implementing multi-platform campaigns for recruiting and marketing. Vito, thank you for being here. Excited to hear what you have to say.
Thank you. Extremely jealous of the background that you have there.
This is the CanB
wonderful. What a facility. I may have to start working out of there a little bit, you know. I will apologize. You may hear the slightest hint of a dog barking. I had to hide Kylie upstairs in my son's room. With COVID, we're still working remotely, you know, which some of us have done so for quite a long time. I also have contractors in the basement as well. So I have a double dose today. There will be no children running through the house, though. They're at school, thank God. We're in Berwick, and it's sunny and bright, and they're actually in school for a change, which is great. So without that, Regional Digital Strategist is a tongue twister, isn't it?
It is.
Try saying that every day of the week.
I had a title at one point, Coordinator of Entrepreneurial Services. It took me about a month to learn how to say it without getting tongue-tied, so I get it.
So without further ado, I'm going to get my face off the screen because, like I say a lot since we're in radio, I have a face for radio. So we're going to switch over to share my screen here. Thanks so much for having me. And, you know, I'm going to try to go nice and slow and, you know, be as descriptive as possible without confusing anybody, hopefully, because I know I'm pretty confused about some of this stuff myself. So
that's a good point. Some housekeeping items, everybody who are, you know, anybody who's joining us to learn something from Vito today. We have the chat feature, we have the Q&A feature. Feel free to drop questions in either of those features. We're also live streaming on Facebook. I'll be managing those comments. So if you have questions on Facebook, feel free to drop them in the comments and we'll get them over to Vito. So great. Thank you very much.
My absolute pleasure. So as Jocelyn said, the first time I got certified with Google was back in 2006. They called it just pay-per-click advertising back then. You know, at that time, it was probably 98% of Google's revenue from the ads that, you know, some people back then thought were a scam. They didn't really know what it was. So it's evolved from, you know, pay-per-click advertising. Then they switched up and started to call it Google AdWords. And now they've switched again to Google Ads, which is nice and short and probably less confusing than AdWords. So, you know, it's a great way to get to the top of the page, which is really, really important, but it's not for everybody. So we want to make sure that A, is it for me, you know, and B, if it is, let's do it properly so that we're not wasting, this budget that you're allocating towards this particular tactic that could be really, really great for converting clients, leads, prospects, sales, really end of the funnel conversion piece, which is really nice depending on if you're in that sweet spot for the product. So with that, let's get on to quick agenda. We're going to talk about what Google ads are and if you need them or not, what a good ad looks like, and some ROIs, return on investment, and KPIs, which stands for key performance indicators. That's a fancy name for goals, basically. And then we'll have a little Q&A at the end and see if I can answer some questions. Hopefully, there's nothing that stumps me. I got a chance to actually wear adult clothes today, which is great. We don't have to wear sweatpants and stuff. So, you know, what is Google Ads? And why would I need them? Only about 20% of the time that people spend online is actually searching for a product or service. So, if you break down the time spent online, and the average American today is spending about 11 hours on some form of media throughout the day. So if we sleep for 7, we're on some kind of media for 11. That's 18 hours of our day right there. We're probably eating for the rest, I guess. But so you really want to make sure that your ad is necessary if they're at the end of their search, because the internet's kind of broken up between two different classifications. You have like the searcher, that I need a plumber in Berwick, I need a personal injury attorney in Wilkes-Barre, 24-hour emergency service for a hot water heater that might have exploded. That's only 20% of the people that are online. About 80% are just digesting content. They're on their Facebook page, they're checking a score on ESPN to see how the Yankees did last night. um, you know they're maybe looking for a recipe for something to make for dinner tonight. Maybe they're getting their basement done like I am, and they're looking for some furniture and stuff. So you know that's about 80% of the time that they're just kind of, out there on the web, being non-productive, most likely, and avoiding work in some fashion, or trying to escape the children, you know, and the pandemic for the most part. So you really want to make sure that if you're divesting a certain amount of revenue towards your budget for marketing, that it's going to line up right for what you're trying to accomplish. So for the most part, it's people that have kind of made up their decision already. Like they know what they want already, and they're kind of looking for a local buying option. Like they're looking for that compelling offer, that 25% off, that free shipping, that the call to action to kind of get them to drive them to a click to go to the website to make a purchase. Excuse me, the allergies are like in high gear with the weather changing. So it's really a great return on investment for the right products and service. And I'll get into some of the sweet spots in a couple minutes. It's also really good for branded marketing to kind of take your company, your business, and brand it with the proper keywords that make people think about. When I'm thinking about Coke, or colas, I think about Coke. When you think about beer, you think about Budweiser. When you think about cars, you think about, Ford, because those people spend a lot of money to brand their products and services to make you think about them when you have the need for their products and services. So, like, what is exactly a Google ad? A Google ad is the ad that shows up at the top of the page, um, generally on a mobile device or a desktop, and it'll have the little tiny button that says ad at the top. So it's just above the map section, if there is one, or the organic results. And the organic results, those are people that are at a different stage of the purchase process. They're starting their research. They're looking for the furniture, they're looking for the color, the sizes, and what they're trying to accomplish. Maybe they're beginning their personal injury, search, or the plumber, like we talked about before. But they're at the beginning of that stage. So the Google ad would be for the end of the funnel, like we talked about, like the people that are already looking for that product or service. They know what size, they know what shape, they know what color. Now they're just looking for the quick setup with a free 30-day trial offer or some kind of call to action that's appealing to them to make them click on the ad. And what's great about that is that they only get charged when someone does click on the ad. So if this ad is sitting up here and it's shown, that's going to be called an impression. Anytime we show an ad, it's called an impression, whether it's a Google ad or a static display ad or a native ad. So um, the ad is shown, and what if nobody clicks on it? But there's a phone number in the ad or a website that somebody might remember. My company, we like to judge, and monitor what's called the view through, which means we showed an ad. The person did not click on the ad. However, they visited the domain name, the website later on, and we want to make sure that we get credit for that too, and show you how all the clicks are coming through. But that's what a Google ad is. So it's going to be above the map, above the organic results, and sometimes, depending on how much competition there is on, with a particular heading, there may be some ads down at the bottom of the page as well, which, not too many people are going below the fold anymore, but, it's just a really great way to get to the top of the page and have top of page exposure when the client has you top of mind. So here's kind of the cross section of an anatomy of a Google ad. It'll have, the headline. So like the company would be a great way to start that, and the geographical area that the company is in, and maybe a product with that. And then a really, really detailed description of what they do there. Um, then you want to localize that information with the hours, maybe the address. You could put a phone number in there, preferably a phone number that you have hooked up to an RCF, a recorded call conversation, where you could actually listen to the lead and hear the person's name and see if they made a purchase or not, which is fantastic and transparent and really, really the way that you want to be able to work. And then have some site link extensions down at the bottom that have pages of the website that are kind of highlighted that you can go to in a really quick reference, and then a structured snippet of what they're actually serving up. So for this particular example, they were doing RVs, motorhomes, cars, SUVs, and minivans. It's really, really detailed. However, it's short and sweet and to the point. Digital advertising is a lot different than print. You don't have the time because people have such a short attention span to begin with. You really want to get your point across, in as little as information or little words as possible. But relevancy is really high, so you want to make sure that it's very, very relevant. And this is kind of the structure of what the ads would look like. So, content is always king when it comes to these ads, and writing them, better to have good information about what your business does, who you're looking to market to, a compelling offer, reasons that they'd want to do business with you versus somebody else, and making that as easy as possible to click and be able to make contact with that person. Today, I'd say about 75 to 80% of these people are going to be on a mobile device versus a few years ago, especially in Northeast Pennsylvania, which I've done digital since 2006. It's a different market. Like you can't send the guys from Philly and Jersey and New York out here with their budgets that are for a Philadelphia attorney. It's a lot different. So you really want to make sure that you're trusting somebody to do this that is local, and hopefully if you are going to do it yourself, like, pick our brain, Jocelyn, myself, anybody within the chamber, to kind of try to help you get you in the right direction. So before I get into some conversion sides, just to clarify, when you're buying these keywords, like you have the ad set up and you're going to buy specific keywords that are hedging your bets to be more, to have a higher propensity of people that are looking for your products and services. So, someone that has a keyword tool that's been doing this for a while can actually, buy better words for you that are going to convert at a higher rate. But you want to always A/B test your ads. You want to have a couple different ads going at the same time to see which ones are converting higher, and then you optimize towards those to get a better return on investment and a higher click-through rate. And we'll touch that in a little bit. But the way Google kind of works, you have these keywords, and every morning there's kind of an online auction, you know, um, for these specific keywords in geographical areas, plumber, Berwick, personal injury attorney, Hazleton, furniture store, Williamsport, whatever. Those words, there's a bid for each one of those, depending on how much the person really wants to be seen. And that goes on every day. And it's based on 200 pieces of what Google likes to call an algorithm, which is just a big fancy name for rules. So there's about 200 rules as to why an ad will be shown over another ad. And a lot of it is how the ad is written. And there's some other stuff like quality score and, the length of your domain name could actually be one of those 200 things. So there's a lot of different reasons why an ad will be shown. When you say, well, how come I was on the internet 4 or 5 times today and I didn't see my ad? Well, there's a lot of reasons for that. And there's budgetary reasons, there's demographical reasons. Sometimes you're not in the demographic that you're choosing to show the ad. So you wouldn't be able to see the ad, and that happens as well. You never, ever, ever want to search for your own pay-per-click ad if you decide to do this on your own or you're hiring somebody to do it. Never search for your own words, because what's going to happen is if you find your pay-per-click ad, your Google ad, and you don't click on it, but you typed in a relevant search term. You're a plumber in Berwick and you type in plumber Berwick to see your ad, and you do see your ad. You better click on your ad, which is going to cost you money. However, if you don't click on the ad, you're telling Google that you were searching for a plumber in Berwick, but your ad wasn't relevant. So, trust in yourself if you're going to launch them yourself, or in the person that you hire to make sure that they're doing this properly. And there's really, really good reporting that's going to show you how many times your ad was shown, how many times your ad was clicked, and depending on the layer of transparency, you're going to talk about Google Analytics down the line in another segment. But if you hook up to Google Analytics, you could actually see the results of the campaign very, very transparently. So within the conversion tips, you want to make sure that you're addressing the searcher's intent. Make sure that you're keying on what they're looking for in the ad to make it a little bit easier for them to convert. You also want to make sure that ad copy is enticing and it draws on their emotions, and they generally at this point have one hand on the phone and one hand on the computer if they're on a desktop, or like they're looking to convert, like they need something now, and they're looking to make a purchase. So you really want to make sure that you're plugging in like on their emotions. Use the ad extensions like we talked about, any branded keywords to kind of create that environment where when they think about a plumber, they're thinking about you, or they think about, a specific kind of hamburger or a food, Italian food. Like you always want to make sure that when you're thinking about the product, you're thinking about you as that vendor. Any kind of soft conversions with, like get a quote, and I got some really good CTAs and some data on the next slide, I believe, that'll show you, how to convert a little bit better. And remember, they're at the end of the funnel. So like they're getting ready to pull out their wallet and drop down a credit card or schedule an appointment with you. So some good conversion tips in the ad. Don't use click here. Obviously, this is off a study that I've pulled off of the internet. Get quote, get discount, get free shipping, buy, shop, try. Those work really, really well. Discovery, click, like those are more for organic side of someone that's just starting their search. Your people are at the end, so you really want to make sure that A, the words in the ad are conducive to buying, and B, when they click on the ad, this is really the secret sauce. When they click on the ad, it has to go to a section or maybe a specific landing page that you create that is only about the offer in the ad, or the product in the ad, or the registration in the ad, or whatever you're trying to convert. It cannot go, by any means, cannot go to the homepage. If it goes to the homepage, they're going to do something called bounce. And that's the little arrow at the top of your screen on the left. They're going to hit that button to go back and conduct another search. And that's not what you want. You want them on your site into your ClickFunnels, converting. Any questions so far? I know I'm going pretty quick. I wanted to just take a step back and see if anybody had any questions.
I don't have anything in the chat right now, but those of you that might have some questions, feel free to put it in the chat, and I will let Vito know.
Great. So, we talked about earlier about ROIs and KPIs, and you really have to have a reason to be doing this campaign to begin with. And what I found in, I don't even want to say how many years, but the sweet spot monetarily for a digital marketing tactic that uses pay-per-click or Google ads would be about $150 net profit after everybody's paid. Uncle Sam, the salaries, the lights, insurances, like what the product puts in net profit in the customer's pocket should be at the $150 to $200 range. And I'm going to get into why in a little bit, but this is not cheap marketing. And to do it right, you have to spend some money. If you think about this in the grander scheme of things, $1,000 a month, if I didn't get paid, or the other people that do this type of marketing, Google, Facebook, whatever platform that you're actually driving, Amazon, whatever platform you're driving the traffic on, everyone has to get paid. So $1,000 isn't really $1,000. However, let's assume it was for 1 minute. $1,000 monthly campaign is only $33 and change a day. I probably couldn't stand out in front of your business with a sign for $33 a day. It'd be hard to get somebody to actually do that. So when we talk about spending and budget in a little bit, I just wanted to kind of set the stage at, digital marketing in any aspect should be a long-term solution. It's not a, hey, I got a couple extra bucks this month. Let me try some ads. Like, you should never enter a digital campaign with that in mind. You should have specific goals and profitability scenarios already laid out. It's okay, we're looking to drive this traffic to the website to sell this, to schedule these appointments, to maybe move some inventory that you have off the shelves that you want to get rid of, or something that's coming in seasonally. And then going back, it should be in that $150 to $200 net profit sweet spot to make it cost effective. But it's definitely not something that, you say to yourself, well, we got a little extra money this quarter, let's try digital. Digital is a long-term solution. It's the only marketing that is expected to keep and maintain double-digit growth over the next few years. And that's directly from Burrell Industries, which does a great job with how small to mid-sized businesses budget their marketing, their promotions. It's a great third party. They have no skin in the game with anything, but just some great data that I could share with anybody that would be interested in their own industry. But you need to know, like we have on the left, you want to be able to know your cost per click. You want to know your conversion rates, or what these are going to be about, like a ballpark before you enter an agreement with any digital marketing firm. They should kind of give you an idea as to what they're going to do. Because there is an expectation of a benchmark with Google, where for best practices, you should have, the campaign should be landing in these ranges, like for it to be, judged a success. And you should have that up front, so that you really know. You're going to want to know what your bounce rate is, and you're going to want to share your Google Analytics information with your digital company and have them at least get read-only access to the campaign, because they cannot wait days or weeks to see what a bounce rate is, because that could be costing you a fortune depending on how much that you spend on this. If the bounce rate is high, that means you're serving an ad, people are seeing the ad, but they're not clicking on it. And that's not good, and your digital specialist needs to know that, instantaneously, like for the most part. Um, you know, CPC is cost per click. You're going to want to know stuff like that. What am I paying per click? Keyword prices, they're not going to be that important to you. That's more for the specialist that's going to be, serving the actual ads. But you also may hear a word called quality score. I want to touch base on that real quick. A quality score is kind of a credit score, if you will. It's like, having a snapshot of how Google sees your company, and you want Google to see you as the authority of that particular keyword or that particular keyword phrase. So some of the things that go into that would be keyword relevancy, click-through rate, landing page, historical performance of the campaign. There's a lot of different relevancy factors that are also concluded and calculated. The age of your domain name, like the longer that your domain has actually been registered and it's been a www, can actually help you. If you have two companies that are selling furniture, one just opened up last week and has a brand new domain name, but one's been in business for 15 years, that could definitely, tilt the scale a little bit, like when it comes to quality score. The longer the campaigns run is better for the quality score. A campaign that's launched 2 months ago compared to 2 years ago, that's going to affect the quality score much differently. So it is a long-term strategy. It is something that you don't want to just try for a couple. Now, if you're seasonal, obviously, you only sell swimming pools 6 months of the year or 5 months of the year, or you sell hot tubs just a couple months a year, or you're a ski resort, that doesn't have a water park or something attached to it. Yes, there could be some really good seasonal things that you'd want to buy pay-per-click or Google Ads for, but just want to make sure that we're setting you up for success, if it's something that you're going to do on your own. So a lot of people ask me, well, why is my budget so much? Like, why do you want so much money to do this pay-per-click type of advertising? Well, if anybody's ever seen the show Storage Wars, this is a nice little way that I've kind of laid it out to explain why it costs so much. We already talked about $1,000 only being $33 a day to market your products and services online, which really isn't a lot of money at all. Just to give you a rule of thumb, in totality in marketing, a small to mid-sized car lot, a new car dealer, they spend about $30,000 to $35,000 a month on all their marketing. A smaller car dealer, some of the larger ones like Blaze and some of the other guys that we've dealt with, their budgets are a lot deeper. They have more rooftops. Obviously, it's a little different ballgame. But here's a way that I break down budget. Really easy to see, and why you need, because there's more than just buying the words and showing up on the relevant keyword searches. There's what we call market makers. So let's pretend that Brandy and Jared were trying to buy keywords from 7 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock in the afternoon or early morning. And then we have Barry, if anybody's seen the show. He also wants to buy keywords, a Google ad in the 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. timeframe. And Dave also wants to compete for those lockers or ads at the same time frame. Now, Brandy and Jared only have $500 to invest. Barry and Dave have $1,000 and $1,500 respectively. what's going to happen is, because of the budgeting, Dave's ads are going to be shown more. That's it. That's simple. I mean, like, you want more visibility. Obviously, the quality score comes into play. You can't just buy traffic. It's got to be relevant. But the higher budgets, if all the ads were equal, the higher budget's going to be shown more. That's just the nature of the beast. However, because of their small budget, Brandy and Jared run out of money at 11 o'clock. They can't bid on any more lockers. They can't buy any more words. Their ads can't be shown anymore because their budget was only for $500. Now, from 12 noon till 6 p.m., there's only 2 people bidding on those keywords again. Barry and Dave, they have the budget. So now their ads are being shown. They're getting all the traffic. They're getting all the leads, the prospects, the sales. What happens there? Well, they're getting shown more. Even though their budget hasn't changed, the cost per click has gone down because there's only 2 people bidding on the space now. At 6 o'clock, Barry now runs out of money. And Dave's all by himself from 7 at night until 12 p.m. when it's prime time. I'm 48. My wife's 42. We have children. We play a game every night, pretty much, where they pretend, that they don't want to go to bed. There's a monster in the closet, the whole 9 yards. We start that little dance at like 9 o'clock, and by 9:30ish, they're finally in bed. That's when the conversations are taking place. Hey, what are we going to do this weekend? Can I go play golf with my buddies on Sunday? What about the new couch that we need? I have to have surgery on my knee. And I saw this ad. Like, that's the time that you want to be top of page, when that couple has you top of mind. So not only is Dave becoming the market maker and getting the prime time viewability, he's also getting the lowest cost per click, even though he has the highest budget. Does that make sense? I'm going to stop here for a second and see if anybody has any questions.
So again, no questions in the chat. I'm getting some commentary that your presentation is great, and you're able to explain it in a way that they're able to understand. So I thought you'd appreciate that feedback, because this is a really complex topic. It's something that, even when Vito and I decided to bring him on to talk about this during the series, it was like, whoa, like, we could do an entire series just on Google Ads. Like, how do we break this down? So I think the fact that there is a limited amount of questions is actually a compliment to your presentation. So good job.
Thank you. I did not want to confuse anybody, because like, this stuff is like stereo instructions. If you get to, and as a strategist, it's not my job to get into the minutia of the campaigns. But if somebody locked me in a room with a credit card, really good Wi-Fi, and a good computer, I could launch these campaigns myself if I had to. We have analysts that actually do all this stuff. That's what they're trained for. But I've been doing this so long, where when I started in digital sales, I was working with Yellow Page customers that generally were a lower spend. Like, their marketing dollars were it was like, 2-truck Chuck that had a HVAC company, not a 15-25 truck company like I kind of work with. And I work with all sizes right now, but the Yellow Page customers, they were used to spending $100 a month, like, on their marketing. If you go in and start talking technical with these people, they're going to throw you out of their office. So I figured out a really good way to kind of make it make sense to any business owner. Plus, like, most business owners today, they're wearing 7 or 8 different hats to begin with. I know all of us are kind of doing double duty right now because of this pandemic and pulling on other markets and other responsibilities. You only get one check at the end of the week, but you're probably doing 2 or 3 jobs. But I tried to keep it simple and give you the 30,000-foot view so that it didn't really, make anybody's heads explode, because it could easily do that. And with that, I want to thank everybody, for their time investment today. I'm going to leave my name up on the screen here for a little bit, and I'll come back to it in a little bit because I'm going to put my actual face on screen with Jocelyn. Let's see if I can still do that. Am I there? Okay. I think I'm at the bottom, right? Let me stop sharing for a minute.
There we go. Yeah. So a couple of things. I'm gonna survey the room a little bit. I'm gonna look at some of the participants. I happen to have uh, knowledge of some of these, so I want to look at the industries that we have, right?
Sure.
And see, what we think about in using Google Ads in some of these industries. So a lot of people on the call are nonprofit managers, economic developers. We have some startup owners, businesses less than 5 years old. Let's see, and we do have some larger businesses as well. But that's a pretty good survey of the people that we have on. From what I've heard you say today, and I want to make sure that I'm interpreting it correctly, but for what I've heard you say today, not that I want to discourage anybody on this call from using Google Ads, but I do worry that the level of commitment that's needed to utilize ads for some of these businesses that might not be selling direct product and are more service-based. How do you feel about Google Ads in those industries?
Each campaign's kind of like a snowflake, if you will. They're all a little bit different. And it can be a good tactic for a not-for-profit or service business. Certainly any HVAC, plumbing, electrical contractors, emergency services. The average HVAC ticket, you're probably looking at a $280 to $350 bill to get somebody in for a 24-hour emergency service. So, I work with a not-for-profit right now where they're in 9 different states. We're only doing about 7 offices in Pennsylvania right now. Pay-per-click was not a choice for them. They had a small budget where we were taking a little bit from each office to kind of put it into a pool. And for their spend level, I think we were at like about $2,000 a month. Facebook was the best way because of what we talked about before. We talked about a click-through rate. So a click-through rate, is how many impressions divided by, how many clicks, I think times 1,000 or something, whatever the equation is. I've been cheating for a long time. I've got an app that's like, loaded into my browser that I kind of throw the information in and hit calculate. It does it for me. But Facebook has a very high click-through rate. Google Ads have the highest click-through rate. However, like we talked about before, you got your buddy there, which is great. Like we talked about before, only 20% of the time spent online is going to be, I'm searching for something, and a click and a Google ad would be relevant, like, to those people. Think about how often that you're really on Google, and think about how often that maybe you've seen a Google ad and didn't even really know what it was, especially early on when you first started using the computer. Early on when they were doing, most people thought it was a scam. I mean, like, I thought it was a scam. I was afraid to click on them, like before I started doing this for a living. But when you want to utilize Google Ads, it should be specifically to convert something, whether it be a client, whether it be someone that's looking for service or to buy a product specifically, or maybe you want them to register for a Google meeting like we're doing right now. These ads can be utilized for many, many things, but you got to remember the cost, and you have to go into it like we talked about with a really good key performance indicator or a return on investment. Now, some of these products and services that you talked about earlier, there might not be a way that we could actually put a return on investment for. I probably wouldn't use a lot of these in a recruiting ad.
Mhm.
Okay. I would use other tactics that I have like at my disposal, like maybe some static display,
So that's a
possibly.
good point. And
Yep.
that's actually why I brought up the screen share, because so I just typed into the to Google search business incubator. For those of you that are familiar with Can-Be, that's technically what we are. We are a business incubator. We offer virtual assistants, but we are a physical incubator location. So I type that in. I don't type anything else in. I just type in business incubator. I'm not giving it a location or any other query to pull up. And what comes up are two very different items here. The first one you have under ad, and I always love, for those of you that don't know, Google has learned, instead of making it look like spam or something weird, they actually put ad next to it now. For a while, they had there was like a little icon that was next to it, but now it actually says ad. You look at this first one, Oracle for startups. If you don't know what Oracle is, it's a CRM system, customer relations manager, something of that nature. It's a database that maintains all of your customer information. So we're talking about business incubators, we're talking about entrepreneurs, we're talking about business startups. So Oracle is spending money to hit up top here when we're talking about entrepreneurism, and they're trying to sell their product. When you look at the second one here, we're pulling up a college or university. Become an entrepreneur. This is an educational institution that's trying to drive traffic to their site to enroll, or at least get you interested in their school. What you're not seeing is an ad specifically for a business incubator. To Vito's point, it really isn't the best use of an incubator's time, unless maybe they're a for-profit accelerator program that takes equity and warrants in your business. For somebody like me, there's no value in me putting money behind this here for you to find. It might be better for me to use some word of mouth advertising or some pay ads on Facebook, because you guys are already there looking for information, Instagram, things of that nature. And you could see you're not hitting incubators here. You're hitting the incubator client. You're hitting the client that's moving into the incubator and how they might utilize a service or product from another company. So I just thought I'd point that out.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's a tough sword to kind of work on, because if I'm looking for a local business incubator and I'm seeing these ads, I'm probably not going to respond to those ads.
No, probably not.
However, from a standpoint from Oracle or from the university that was buying those keywords, you can buy thousands and thousands of keywords. So depending on what their budget was, that might not be a bad buy for them. Looking for people that are in that stage, that are in their early business stages, that has not selected a customer relations management software program. So you really have to go and do the research on these campaigns before you do it. And just as a precursor, you may have heard a term called search engine optimization, SEO. You never want to do an SEO campaign unless you've already done a Google Ads campaign, because that's what the people are typing in real time, in the geography that you pick. So nobody outside of that geography will see your ad. So, if you're purchasing a Google ad, and let's say you're a private investigator and you work primarily in Luzerne County, you can buy county, you could buy zip codes, you could buy a square mile radius, anything that you delineate, whether it be square miles or zip codes or counties, your ads will not be shown outside of that geography. Now, I have certain clients that say, hey, listen, I'm really good in a 20 square mile radius of my business. I don't want I get a lot of walk-in traffic. I don't want my ads to be shown in a 25 square mile radius, but I service 100 square miles. We could start showing the ads on mile 26 to mile 100. Mm-hmm. Of a radius or specific zip codes or what have you. So there's a million different websites that you can Google for help on this. obviously Jocelyn is a fantastic resource. There's a lot of good companies within the chamber that I've noticed, scrolling through the membership of people that are trained how to help you with this. And I'm going to be honest with you, the pay-per-click realm, the Google Ads realm, because of the scale, most digital marketing companies don't make a lot of money off of this when it comes to net profit. It's probably one of the smaller amounts of money that, and when it comes to digital marketing to begin with, the margins are razor thin, because we're buying the space from Google, from Facebook, from Amazon, and all their partners. So there isn't a lot of money. These big budgets seem like, man, Vito must be doing pretty well. It's not about that, but a lot of times we'll give you advice on a pay-per-click Google Ads campaign, that you may want to do yourself without trying to run it through our companies, because of those razor thin margins. But, certainly use this as a reference point, before you, because Google, I think, they probably send out quite a bit of $150 credit coupons for Google Ads to a lot of different businesses. And, realistically, $150 is nothing when you're looking at $33 and change a day being $1,000 a month spend. Now, the bright side of that is once you establish what your budget is, you could never go over. I usually get that question once or twice throughout a presentation where someone says, but can they just keep, banging away? Like, no. Once your budget's established, it never goes over 1,000 if that's your budget. Okay. The other question I get quite frequently is, well, can't my competitors just sit there clicking my ads? Google's pretty smart. And, through your IP address, they could identify click fraud really, really quickly. And they will take that particular IP address off of the ability to be able to click on someone's ad. Like they're pretty much on top of that, so you're not going to get fraudulent clicks from your competitors, and stuff like that's asked quite a bit. It's a really great way to get to it's the fastest way, let's put it that way, to get to the top of the page on search, if that's where your client lives, and you're looking to convert that client. If you're looking for more of a research product, you want to be on the bottom side of the page in the organic section, because you only get, I think, what's Google down to 3 now in the map section, and you can't influence that at all with money. You could bribe them all you want, unless you have a physical. That we get away with a lot because we're Northeast Pennsylvania when it comes to the Google map and organic listings. Because if you're, if you're a dentist in Berwick, you're probably going to come up in Fishing Creek and Stillwater and Benton and Orangeville and Bloomsburg and Light Street, because there's not 10,000 dentists. It's not Manhattan, but I hope, and from what Jocelyn said, there wasn't a lot of questions, and the feedback was good, that I didn't try to complicate things, and I tried to keep it as easy as possible and give you that kind of 30,000 foot view of it. So thanks for putting the time in today with us. I know that a lot of people had power outages and a lot of weather from the power lines going down last night. So thanks for giving us the opportunity to talk to you today. And if you want, I could put that screen back up with my email address if anybody has any questions or anything.
Please do. And while you're doing that, I'll just give a little plug for next week. Next week, we will have Mike Jeske from Deca Studios. Mike will be discussing Google Analytics and how to utilize another free platform through Google. Google Analytics are extremely important. They really go hand in hand with ads and AdWords, and to really understand where your customers are coming from, how they're getting to your page, what your click-through rates are. It's a really important platform to understand as well. And also, Vito mentioned SEO. We will be hosting an SEO seminar in late March, early April. We're working out the details on that in partnership with one of our Think partners, the Launchbox. And we will be hosting a multi-part series on SEO as well. So that's another area. If you have some interest in SEO, what's the difference between SEO and ads? If you were sparked based off of what Vito had said, then I encourage you to keep an eye on our Facebook or any of our social media campaigns and sign up for our SEO program happening in late March. But that's all I have. Vito, thank you so much for being here today. This is a great seminar, lots of really valuable information. This will be recorded and put on our YouTube channel, so feel free to share it with anyone that you think might find it valuable. Thank you everybody for being here on your Tuesday afternoon. I look forward to seeing you next week.
Take care, everybody. My pleasure.
Thank you.